What's up, guys? This is Max.
And this is Dave.
In this episode, we have JonFitch. If you don't know who JonFitch is, let's tell him, Dave.
Guys, one of the best fighters of all time, an ex-UFC fighter. Now he fights for Bellator. He's got a huge fight at Bellator 199, Saturday, May 12th versus Paul Daly, guys. A mega fight.
And he calls into the studio to get locked in. Make sure you show him some love. Go to jonfitch.net and support JonFitch. Thank you so much for coming on, sir. Hope you guys enjoyed that. And we also have Kenmon Evans and Pete White in the studio getting locked in to talk about their future, their careers. It's just nothing but great stuff.
It's packed, guys. He's got two big fights of his own coming up. One in June in Key West and one in July in Memphis, Tennessee. He's packed. He's slamming the boxing rings all around this great country. Huge news coming out of him.
So hope you guys enjoy, and like always, stay locked in. Thank you for getting locked in with us, John. Really appreciate you giving us your time. This is Max.
Yeah, this is Dave. JonFitch, ex-UFC fighter, Bellator fighter, a legit and a great guy. So let's get into it, Max.
All right, John. So
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you for coming on. You have an upcoming fight against Paul Daly Saturday, May 12th. How's training camp gone so far? How's the whole process gone so far?
Training camp's been going really great. I'm feeling good, feeling really healthy. Sparring partner has been really pushing me. Everything's feeling good. Can't wait to go.
That's awesome. We're glad to hear that. One thing I looked into, so you have 38 professional fights.
I have 40.
40.
Whoa.
That's a lot.
Yeah, a lot of them have my record wrong. I have 31 wins, 7 losses, 1 no contest, and 1 draw.
That's insane. And you fought the best of the best.
Yeah, I've been fighting at a high level for quite a long time.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely one of the best in the world. And I thought it was unbelievable that Paul has had more professional fights than you. I feel like 99% that you would absolutely have the more professional experience in there. But that's unbelievable how many fights Paul has.
Yeah, I think he's got 40 wins. I mean, he's been around. He's had a lot of fights.
Now, John, I ask pretty much every fighter this when I talk to them. It's just, I find it so curious. John, so Paul Daly's an extremely dynamic fighter with tons of power. Are you the type of fighter to really study your opponent, or do you go in there and just implement your game plan based off what you do well?
A little bit of both. I mean, I don't overdo it with the studying, but I do make sure I watch and I'm aware of the tendencies and things they like to do and how they do things. But I don't want to examine it because I don't want to get myself in a position where I'm too worried about what he's trying to do, and I'm more focused on what I'm trying to do. I need to implement my game plan, implement my will, and control the pace of the fight.
Yeah, that's a good point. And we just talked about your experience. You've had so many fights against the top-tier fighters, so there's nothing that you really haven't seen or you're not prepared for, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I've been training with high-level guys for a long time, so I've seen everything. If not in a real fight, I've seen it in practice.
That was so funny. You are teeing me up. You're definitely throwing me softballs over here, John. We love it. In training, we've been seeing you train with this one fighter. I think his name is Khabib. I'm not too sure who he is.
Yeah.
One of the greatest fighters to me in the world. He's unbeatable, untouchable. I love how he fights. No one can stop it. So how has practices been? How's the in the training camp going with him?
Well, he left. We only got part of my training camp to work with him and his Russian cohorts before he left for his fight. But training with them, those guys, they really push. They know how to fight. They know how to push the pace. And they just come from a different culture where people are just tougher. And I wonder sometimes what they think about, Westerners or what the guys in the United States train like. But they're all just, tough, hard dudes, and they're used to just going hard all the time.
Now, did that surprise you, like first training with him? Because obviously to a fan watching, he's overwhelming, he's dominant. He just completely overwhelms everybody he's fought. He's undefeated. Just training with him one-on-one. Were you surprised?
I trained with him, years back, and he was definitely good. But then I left. I left AKA for a couple of years, 2.5 years about. And I didn't get to train with him for a while, so I didn't see much of him. I saw him around, but I didn't get to train with him. So coming back and getting to train with him again, I was pretty blown away with how much he had leveled up. Just his control on the ground had leveled up to another level, and working with Leandro Vieira, and his wrestling was already really good. Working with Javier, stand-up's getting even sharper and cleaner and a lot slicker. So he's just gotten leveled up to a whole other level.
Wow, that's awesome. Again, guys, this is JonFitch. We appreciate you coming on the show. Big fight May 12th, guys. Everyone, make sure to check it out. Bellator 199. Definitely teeing us up again, talking about not seeing Khabib for a couple years. Your first fight was in 2002. It's 2018 now. What's the transformation in the fight game, in the fighters itself? You've seen it all. You've been through it all. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of things change. I think I was still fighting around when there were tournaments. I'd fought a couple tournaments back in the day.
That's right.
Like one night tournaments.
We miss those. We miss them.
That's insane. That's insane.
I some of this stuff I'm kind of going over. I got a weekly blog I put up that's covering some of my journals. I kept journals the last 17, 18 years, so I'm sharing my journals with everybody, and I'm talking about writing reflections on the stuff that went down, and you could see back in those days, like we used to just train and be in shape because we never knew when we were going to get a phone call and asking if we wanted to fight that weekend or the next weekend. I don't think I signed a contract for a fight until I was about 16 fights deep. I think the fight before I went to the UFC was the first fight I signed a contract for. So it's definitely changed a great deal. You could get away with only knowing and being an expert at one discipline in the beginning too. And then you had to know kind of everything for a while. And then things started to get really competitive, I think, on a technical level. But then I feel like personally things stagnated when the UFC bought up all the competition.
Sure.
And then they turned everything into kind of more, a pro wrestling business model. And the athletes started to excel because they were exciting, and a lot of the techniques suffered. But I feel like we're starting to get to a point where the fight game has been around long enough where you're getting a lot of great athletes who are also getting very technically developed. So we're entering a different kind of age of really, stylistic killers out there.
Awesome. John, you mentioned your video blog series. Where can people find that?
Well, I have a written blog series on my website, JonFitch.net. But I also do a weekly live stream or a daily live stream on YouTube. That they can find all that stuff on my YouTube or my website, JonFitch.net.
Awesome. Okay, and we're diving into the past a little bit in order to predict the future of this new wave, this new generation. You talk about the all-time greats in your division. You had mentioned George St. Pierre. You had mentioned BJ Penn, Jake Shields, Thiago Alves, Diego Sanchez. You fought them all. What fight sticks out most to you as one of your favorites?
The GFC fight, of course, getting to fight somebody who I consider the greatest. He was the best pound-for-pound fighter, I think.
I do too.
I think welterweights tend to be the toughest weight class because the guys in this weight class have a lot of power and they still have a lot of athleticism and speed. So I think physically the 170-pound weight class is one of the toughest weight classes there is. And then George, is the all-time great there. So I kind of put that one up above all of them. The next favorite fight of mine would have to be the Eric Silva fight, just because of the circumstances of that fight, the performance of that fight, and traveling to Brazil and fighting in somebody else's country, and people screaming, you're gonna die, and just everybody against me. And I kind of had a Rocky IV moment where entering the third round of that fight, the fans in Brazil started cheering for me rather than the hometown guy. So
that's awesome.
That's one of my favorite experiences ever. I think you can't beat that. They were going in. I'm walking to the cage and they're just angry and they're calling for my blood. And then by the beginning of the third round, they're cheering my name.
That's insane. I think MMA truly has the best fans because they stick with you throughout your whole career, through your ups, your downs, And you mentioned the GSP. I personally think he's the pound-for-pound greatest fighter of all time as well, especially coming back, 4-year layoff, winning the middleweight championship. I just think George St. Pierre doesn't get the credit he deserves. Do you think he ever will? Is he definitely, in your mind, the pound-for-pound great? Do you see Demetrius Johnson as possibly taking that throne? My guy Dave over here isn't a big fan of John Jones. I just think he's done everything right in this sport, and he's paved the way for future generations, as we were talking about.
Yeah, I think, because not only was he a great fighter, but he's a good dude. But, I don't have anything negative to say about him. He holds himself to a high caliber inside and outside of the cage, and you got to respect that.
You were truly one of the only fighters I thought could have beaten George St. Pierre. Like, when he was on his title run, and you were tearing through guys left and right, I'm like, JonFitch could beat George St. Pierre. Then after that fight, it's just he kind of went on, and the momentum carried itself.
I think if I would have gotten a rematch, it would have been different. I went on to win 5 more consecutive fights before I fought and had a draw with BJ.
Yeah.
And I feel that if I would have been granted the title shot after I beat Chad Alves the second time, that it could have been a different story. But past the past, you can't rewrite history. I can only focus on what's ahead of me.
Absolutely, and what's ahead of you. Again, guys, Bellator 199, you versus Paul Daly. We are so pumped for that fight. Let's go back to JonFitch.net. It's a great site, John. We love it. We love the Fitch Smash, like all those T-shirts you have on it. You have a great site. Mm-hmm. There's so much to do on it. Just bring people through. I definitely want everyone that hears this, go on JonFitch.net. Check out all his T-shirts. You got so many great things on the site. We love it.
Yeah, I finally revamped it after a little bit of downtime, and then I'm just trying to, put more content and stuff out there for more people, try to reach out to more people, try to help people out, health, fitness, mindset, even maybe do a little finance help, because there was an aspect that I wasn't thinking about until I talked to one of my buddies who's a financial planner and into investments, and there's a lot of young guys that they just don't know, and I didn't know when I was that young about just compound interest. And what you can do for yourself if you just put a little bit of money away. If you're 20 years old, if you put a little bit of money away and you contribute 25 to 50 bucks a month, by the time you're 40, that turns into a large sum of money. So you can just sacrifice a couple beers on the weekend, save that cash, and invest it into like a Roth IRA or something, and then you're going to be a multimillionaire by the time you're ready to retire.
I love this. We're talking to JonFitch, an amazing fighter. We're getting the IRAs out of you. We're getting our taxes done. I'm loving this, my man. Well, locked in. We definitely got on it today. We're donating a little bit to you each month. Like I said, we're big fans. We appreciate your time and effort.
Yeah, man. I love it. It's awesome.
John, I'm truly curious because I'm a huge fan of yours. What's the difference between fighting in the UFC and fighting in Bellator? Because we've seen fighters fight in both. Some succeed in others. Some succeed in both. What's the difference?
Man, well, it's been a long time since I fought in the UFC, so I can't speak too clearly on it. Mm-hmm. But I will say one thing, is that before I left the UFC, the atmosphere around everything had changed. And it kind of seemed like it wasn't as fun and friendly around the times. Everybody was kind of looking over their shoulder, even the employees. The company seemed like they're all afraid of getting fired at any time. Everybody kind of was walking on eggshells. Nobody was certain about their career or their future. So it was kind of uncomfortable. A lot of the stuff was uncomfortable. And when we started out, it was a lot more fun. When I first started fighting for them 7.5 years prior to that, it was a lot more fun. Everybody was optimistic. Everybody was having a good time. It seemed like everything was a team effort. But towards the end, it didn't seem like at all. And the people I talk to now, I think it's maybe have gotten worse. So when I was fighting with the World Series and now PFL, everybody, it was back to like things were when I first started with UFC. Everybody was kind of working together. Everybody seemed like they're on a team effort. It seemed a lot friendlier and a funner environment. And so far, Bellator has really felt like that too. I mean, they've had low level events. They've had events at or fights. They've had events at. They've had shows at. You can go out to Dave & Buster's when the fights are on and hang out. So, I mean, it's just felt it's a lot funner, I guess. The atmosphere is funner from what I can tell.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool. You said about the PFL. That was here in Daytona Beach. That's where we're out of. So next time you're ever here in that area, definitely hit us up. We'll get you we'll go out and grab a slice of pizza.
Excellent.
Awesome. John, what's you can throw out to everyone, all your social media, Instagram, Facebook, wherever people can reach you. Definitely give out all the information you want. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, mostly go to JonFitch.net. If you go there, you'll be able to find everything else. I have everything else connected to it. One-stop shopping for everybody. That way it's easy. Otherwise, I have like 15, 20 things I got to list.
Wow, that's awesome.
Thank you so much for giving us your time. You brought your A game, and you're always welcome to get locked in. Best of luck to you in your upcoming fight. Thank you so much.
Awesome, guys. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
No problem, John. Thanks, buddy. Have a good one.
All right, later.
Pep-Boys.
Hey, this is Dave here. Guys, one of the most essential parts of having a great life is having safe transportation for you and especially for your family. So definitely go see our man, Richie, at Pep-Boys in Daytona Beach, Florida.
And this is Max. What I hate the most, Dave, is when you start up your car and it goes do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do, and you know it's going to be a long day. Well, if I know Pep-Boys has my back, it's going to be a great day. So no matter what happens, go to Pep-Boys for any issue, give you the best deal, and completely fix all your problems.
And tell them Locked In sent you.
What's up, guys? Max here. Let us introduce you to Wicked Cutz, the best quality haircut around. They have 2 locations, right, Dave?
Yeah, bud. They got one in South Daytona and also the second, the brand new one in Port Orange, Florida.
Now, here's the thing. In order to book an appointment, you can visit wickedcutz.com or download the Booksy app. And every Tuesday and Wednesday, if you mention Locked In, you get $5 off your fresh cut for both locations.
What? $5 off? That's amazing, guys. Check them out, lastly, at Facebook and Instagram at Wicked Cutz Barbershop. Do you want the best meals every day? Then get with Fit Meals. Call them at 844-FIT-4U.
Hey, guys. Max here. What I like about Fit Meals is this. It's fit for everybody. If you don't like certain foods, he takes it out. If you like certain foods, he adds that in. It's for everybody. If you're an athlete trying to gain muscle, if you're trying to lose weight, or you're just busy and you don't have the time to cook, Fit Meals is for you. Go to myfitmeals.com and start your plan today.
844-FIT-4U.
And we're live. Okay, Facebook Live. I didn't do the Bruce Buffer this time. Okay, but let's start with the introductions. We'll go guest first.
Guest first.
First-time guest, Kenmon Evans in the studio today. Thank you for coming. And we have the veteran Coach Pete White.
Hey, thanks for having me again. Welcome to your show, guys.
We
Dave,
love it.
you look fresh. You have the
Thank
sports
you.
coat, the locked-in tee, the haircut,
Yeah.
headphones, give you the credit.
Yep.
Producers behind the scene, JT Money, and Sean, the magician. That's your new nickname, too. All right. So, you guys, we just started going live, but we already got in a debate about Khabib, but we'll get that later.
We'll get it later.
Yeah, we'll get
save
into
it
it later.
We'll save it for another contestant.
Yeah, I know, because we'll get into that. So let's dive into it.
Yep.
Kenmon, you're here in the studio. You have a lot. Before we jump into like the future, there's obviously so much to talk about. For the people that don't know you, let's dive into your past. How did you start boxing? Like, how do you get into boxing?
To be honest, like, I started out with different groups at first.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, like, some people that was with was like trying to in the game, but it's more like.
Dang, Pete with the rescue? Boom. Okay, so let's just repeat everything you just said.
All right. Basically, I started out with some people that was like, I guess like not new to the game, but really wasn't in the game, and they knew some of the new stuff or whatever, mixed with the old. So they came to me one day when I was about to go to my first program, and he was like, "Son, you should be fighting in the ring instead of fighting in the streets." So I just looked at him like, you feel me? Ain't no bosses around here. And no, like, I just looked at it like, this ain't no Miami or Tampa or no other one. So it was, after like the next day, like, I guess it marinated in my head when I was getting locked up, going away for 8 months. I'm like, okay, I might just give it a try. So I got out. They reached back to me, and I got out there like 9 months. Got out and then started doing it. I got dedicated with it, and then started noticing like they really is consistent. So I I just like kind of like drift away. And then next thing you know, I met up with Pete. Then he was like, you feel me? He told me, he said, seems like you got the heart or whatever. You just being taught the wrong way. And come with me and you won't have to worry about nothing. So
And from there, it's just
been on.
Hey, you're on a roll. You're 5-0, right? 5-0 and one draw.
One draw.
And
Dirty Philly, right?
Yeah, was it a draw? And
I was, to be honest, in my heart, it was a draw, but I would say by edge, I got it.
Okay. No, that's fair enough. I mean, of course, I expect you to say you think you win. That's just, I was curious because, like you just said, Dirty Philly, sometimes things kind of, you never know if
but
it's truly a draw.
It was a fight of the night. Actually, I think after that one, I went on to get another fight of the night. So.
Really?
Yeah. So.
Okay. So I don't know if you want to dive into anything he just did, but what I just took away from that, so you go into boxing and Mike, who's in the studio, he'll be on later. I remember when we talked to Mike about it, he talked about your wingspan. So, okay, you obviously
everybody
have
want to know.
super long arms. Okay, so, obviously you have to be dedicated to succeed in anything and put in the work, but sometimes you're just gifted with abilities that some people, no matter how hard you work, you can never get.
Yeah.
So you have extremely long arms.
Yeah.
Did you notice that right away?
Yeah, for basketball. I'm a basketball player anyway, so.
Uh-oh. Okay.
So that's the bread and butter always. Yeah, every day.
Really?
That's
and you
what
haven't invited me on the court yet?
Hey, you welcome, man.
Where do you hoop at?
Yeah, where do you play at?
I usually go to the division. I stopped going up, but we play like in New Smyrna at the church. Like some of the sheriffs and everything be opening up the gym. Everybody come out. And then 9 out of 10, man, ain't no more ballers in New Smyrna no more. I got to go to Sanford or Orlando.
So you're traveling to play.
And I got to get that cardio in.
Okay. I mean, I don't want to injure you or anything, with me, but we were playing at God, do you know the all window glass gym? I always forget the name of it. It's in Daytona.
I know you talk about.
Yeah, we ran the gym. A couple of my friends came back for spring break. We ran it. But yeah, definitely. I'll hoop with you. Okay. That's enough rambling off basketball. You got anything?
No, of course I got something. I love how a lot of fighters out of Daytona, New Smyrna, we fight in Daytona or Orlando. I love how you fight in Philly. We got June 9th in Key West.
9th, yes.
We got July 21st in Memphis, Tennessee. I love it. I love how where you go and how, to fight in different markets. Is that something you like, or is that just it comes up, or how does that happen?
I mean,
it's whatever I can find, because it's not, boxing's a different animal for MMA, so it's hard to find fights.
Okay.
And it takes me a lot of going back and forth and wheeling and dealing with a lot of people that I know in the game and everything to get him fights. And it's not easy, everybody wants to fight guys that don't know how to fight. So,
sure.
Unfortunately in this business, you have to, you pay for fights in order to bring a fighter up. What? Even as an amateur, when he was an amateur, we had a hell of a time getting him fights, man. We'd go 6 months without getting a damn fight in the amateurs. We couldn't get him fights.
Yeah. It's like they telling me a weight, and then next thing you know, the other fighter like 12 pounds over.
Yeah.
And we like, forget it. So the last one was like, how much? Like 17, 16?
17 pounds over.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I mean, nothing was easy coming up in the amateurs or whatever for me, but I loved it.
You learned from it.
Saying,
yeah,
about the Key West and everything. This will be our first time going to Key West and everything. So it just reminded me of the amateur days, how we used to.
You got to talk into that thing.
Oh, for real? Oh, my bad. So it just reminded me, like I said, it just reminded me of like how we used to be.
Hitting the speed bag. Okay, you hit on this and you kind of just mentioned it. It's like, the boxing game is different. Why is it different? Why is it so hard to get a fight? I mean, of course, I understand if you're scared, you don't want to fight somebody, then this sport isn't meant for you.
It's not boxing is business. It's so much business and it's so much political crap. And here's a good example is if you're a fighter and you fight in the 147 division, weight class, welterweight class. That's the deepest division in boxing right now. So if you fight in that weight class, you've got to get. I got my very close friend, a very good kid that I love. I've known him for a long time, Miguel Cruz. He fights this weekend on PBC on television, and he fights in Texas. He's 17-0 right now. So he's still you haven't got a title shot because you're still in this division where it's so deep. Mm-hmm. So you might have to get to 22, 23-0 before you get a title shot. You really start making some decent money and everything else. So I take a kid like in MMA, and I get him to 5-0 like Michael Davis, and he turns pro and he goes into the UFC, and already now he's making more money than a boxer that's got 17 professional fights.
That's insane.
Okay, but then you can switch it around. Like
good for Mike. Good for Mike.
But if a boxer,
made me want to change.
Yeah. So things. We're not going there. But you got to look at it as different divisions too. So if Kenmon's fighting in the cruiserweight division, which is like 185 up to 200 pounds or whatever, before you go into heavyweight. If he fights in that division, that's not a very deep division right now. So he could get 10 fights and then fight for a title in that division because it's not so deep like 147. Everybody's fighting 47, 54, 60 in boxing. And now they've got all these different, different weights that they're coming in. And it's crazy. Each division has 10 belts and belts coming in from out of the country. And it's ridiculous. And
I'm obviously a diehard MMA guy. I do like boxing, but I'm definitely a diehard MMA guy. And when you watch a boxing fight, I see like 25-0 versus 26-0. Yep. And then I'm like, he's a champion of this. He's the champion of that. I'm like, okay, so what are they fighting for? How is he a champion of this? I think it just gets confusing. And as a coach and you have an up-and-coming fighter, are you hoping and crossing your fingers that you talked about Zuffa boxing? Are you hoping that comes together?
Zuffa boxing will come together because there's enough money behind it.
When there's money, it comes together.
Money makes sense. Everything happen, and eventually they'll come around, and that'll happen, and that's good. That works so good because get the connections out there when I go out there, and we can start bringing in. Michael's obviously he's a professional boxer and MMA fighter, so it'd be working with a lot of these guys that are out there that would have fought professional boxing. Now they can, and they're MMA fighters. Well, they're obviously not allowed to box anymore when they're MMA, so they can't switch back. But that opens up a door for fighters like Kenmon and other up and coming boxers. Years ago, everybody wanted to be part of Top Rank, and then they want to be part of Golden Boy. And then the big thing was being with Al Heyman and PBC. And then now that's going, turning over as well. And now we're going to jump on board with this promoter, and we're going to jump on board with this promoter.
It's just politics.
Well, if you look at it now, you look at PBC, you see these fighters out there, all these boxers out there. Well, I watched the last card, and you got guys out there that are 16-0 fighting a guy that's 14-0. So you're taking two top guys and you're making them fight each other, so they're trying to bump guys out of the lineup.
Yeah.
So they have a roster of fighters. Mm-hmm. So we're going to cut our money down by making these guys start taking losses. Now we can pay them less later on. The whole game is ridiculous.
That's disgusting.
Now they're doing it to the elite fighters now.
Yeah. So you got a guy that's 10-0 fighting a guy that's 11-0. Why? These managers paid that money to get to that position. Because every fight they're paying to buy a fight to get up there. So when everybody thinks, well, you're a good fighter, you're going to get all these fights. Or if I had a million texts that I get on my phone every day, I want to turn pro because I want to make $1 million. Well, you better be pro at building houses or something because you ain't going to make it in boxing. That's for damn sure. The elite make that kind of money, and that's Mayweather and some of those guys up there. Even the guys that are fighting Mayweather, they might make 1.5 for one fight. Which is, hey, that's good money.
Yeah, it is good money. But when you have issues like this and you have problems, you usually can kind of see where it originated from.
Yeah.
Like, okay, UFC got bought out by a new company. You kind of see they're more about the big money fights a little more now than they ever were.
Sure. Good point.
You know what I mean? With Conor and Floyd, just the fact that they're acknowledging it means they're there for the money. Where did it start? Like you know what I mean? Mayweather?
I feel it started, but it starts with every sport, though. If you notice, every sport is watered down from football to basketball.
You think so?
Yeah, because look, put it like this. Okay, football, you can't hit like that no more like you used to. They don't put a lot of stuff in, watered it down. Basketball, everybody want to jump on a big team that's full of stars.
AKA Kevin Durant. Anyway.
Okay, boxing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Boxing, same thing. Mayweather, the big fights. And it's not about competition no more. It's about that dollar now.
Money.
But back in the 20s and the 30s and stuff in New York, when boxing was huge and you had all these people on there, you know what I mean, coming in from all over the world to watch, and you go to Madison Square Garden and it was just filled. And there wasn't television stuff, so people would actually come out to watch the fights and everything.
That's when it was about boxing.
So mob controlled.
Oh, okay.
And had all that. And yeah, those guys got in there and beat it, but it was
like,
all
that's
about
when it was
the
just
money.
boxing, right?
No, it was never about just boxing. Boxing's the oldest sport in the world. That's been going on forever. You know, the Greeks started this stuff way back when, and you know, it's been played around forever. And then they started putting gloves on. You know, before it was just bare knuckle, and then they started putting gloves on. So
I always learn something new from you. That's insane. Okay, so let's focus back on you. Oh, you got something?
Yeah, no, real quick. We got a Facebook question or comment.
Well, it's from old Richie.
Okay.
You know, Pep-Boys Richie.
Ooh.
Oh, boy.
Pep-Boys.
I think he's everybody's boy.
You just steal my slogan?
My brother.
Come on, dude. Don't act like you didn't just steal that.
Well, he had a couple comments. He said Pete White is a man, of course. And then he goes, Pete White MMA is the farm league for the UFC.
Wow.
That's nice. Thank you, buddy.
Man.
We're trying, man. We just keep grinding every day.
Okay. Did you have something?
Yeah, I definitely had a question. Probably Pete's not going to like me asking this.
Oh, boy.
Have you ever had the itch to do MMA? Are you just 100% boxer?
No.
Okay.
I've seen Kenmon on the
You'd
mats.
be like John Jones out there.
I've seen him on the mats rolling
Only for
before.
cardio.
Only for cardio?
Okay. Just to
Messing
get,
around with
like,
the
just play
boys.
around and everything. But
Yeah.
other than that, nah.
But that reach is unbelievable.
I cannot do it.
Okay.
I can't.
Okay.
If you kick me, I'm the damn.
That's what I'm saying.
Don't think you making it out alive. Because I'm shooting you. I'm just being honest. I'm shooting you.
Oh, my gosh. That's great.
Okay, well, then let's focus back on boxing. When did you notice that you had a special talent for it? Because it's one thing to just win fights, but you obviously have a knack for it. When did you realize that?
To be honest, I didn't.
No?
Honest.
Now, do you obviously still realize you have the talent?
I'm still developing and I haven't reached my full potential.
Of course, yeah.
Not even close. I can't even give it % yet. Only thing I can say is like the knowledge that Pete gave me, and then being with other fighters like Craig Duncan and sparring them coming up, like when
Craig's
I was just only had like 2-3 fights, and he threw me in there with him. Like it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't nothing easy. So I would say like the people he put me around, and when I seen their names when I was going to shows and everything, I wanted that. So my edge came from wanting to be better than them.
Your
or wanting to be
competitive
just
drive.
as, yeah. So
I took him down there when he was still wet in the dice.
yeah. So
threw him
you
in the
feel
ring
me?
with Craig Duncan, and Craig, he come out of there after the first round, blood running down his face, everything. He like, Pop,
But
what the
didn't
hell
quit.
was that? But he
There
stayed
you
right
go.
in there.
That's
He
how
did
you get
same
better.
Did 6 rounds that day.
And with
Wow.
Roy Cruz,
Yeah.
though.
When
So
he
it
took
was
over
like,
there, Figueroa.
yeah.
Yep, them boys have put it on him. But you know that, and he stayed with it, and he's been with me longer than anybody. He's been with me since.
I
for
remember you
years.
telling me that when I walked in the gym.
Besides Taylor, he's been with me longer than every damn buddy. We've been around, and everybody in Florida knows who he is. He gets his work and does it. Unfortunately, we don't get to work as much as we want. We want you to be fighting a lot more often, but we're trying to rectify that right now.
I do want to talk about your upcoming fights, but
2 big fights coming up.
yeah, I wanted to say, okay,
go.
so I talked about when he realized something, but in order for you to throw somebody into a ring with Craig Duncan, I remember you telling me you never give your fighters a fight that you don't think they're ready for.
Right.
So you obviously thought he was ready as soon as,
This
away.
This was sparring.
Yeah, like practice.
But
Yeah,
I saw
I mean-
Kenmon fight one day at a fight here in Daytona, and he was good. But I also noticed when his reach was, because the ring, when he stood on the ring and after he won, he jumped up in the air and his hand went through
my
the ceiling. The ring, it was a low ceiling building, so when he jumped up, he put his hand right through the ceiling because he was so excited.
I couldn't
I'm
even
like-
remember that.
I'm
but
like,
thanks,
oh,
I did not
I'm
do
like,
it.
damn, look at this boy. I got to work with this fool. So I noticed that he had heart. So we started working with him and Elmo, and me. We got together. We started working, and we started working on things and getting him to settle down a little bit because he was young and he was anxious. And then we went fight. We just started fighting, and he just started winning. So I noticed the one thing that he had is that you could hit the kid in the head with a baseball bat and he would still stand there. He could take a punch like nobody I've ever seen before.
Wow.
And he had heart. He wouldn't back down. No matter how, I've seen him eat some shots and he just stayed right there. And he never been down, never took the knee, never been to the ground, nothing. So,
wow.
So I stepped him up
Even
a little
spar.
bit. I step him up in sparring. I put him in with Craig. I put him in with a lot of these guys that have 100 fights or more, or been national champions and stuff like that. So I started him young with those guys and put him in there to see what he's got. So let's see if we can break him. So, and unfortunately in the boxing industry, and same with MMA, like guys come in, you got to take your lickings in order to get better.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So I can teach him, but sometimes he learns better when he finds out the hard way.
Yeah.
So
it's two different types of learning. It's like, I remember your boy Brock Lesnar said it. He's like, I'm the hard learner, where he's like, he has to get beat in order to realize something. Yeah, I don't know.
Brock Lesnar.
We'll get out Brock. That's the only credit I'll give. He's lost 3 times. Right.
He's been through it, man. He did his thing and he paid his punishments and all that stuff, and we still stood by and waited and got through it and came out and we got right back at it as soon as he got out.
Do you know what your wingspan is?
To be honest,
I think his reach is 84.
I think it's like 80. Yeah, 84.
You know that's John Jones' reach.
Yeah.
So if you,
John Jones has Kenmon Evans' reach.
There you go.
I like that. I like that.
I'm not saying you're going to do MMA because I know you're a boxer, but if you were to go into the UFC, you would break the record for reach.
Yeah.
Like that's insane.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
So when you have talent and you have a reach like that, it's a great advantage. But I see 1 million boxers out there that have long reach,
but don't
can't
utilize
use
it.
They don't know how to use it.
Exactly.
And then the secret is being able to use the reach. But if the opponent gets past the reach to get to the inside, what do you do?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be able to maintain that pocket on the inside of your reach.
That must be everybody's
which we
game
worked
plan.
on. Yeah, that's what everybody's game plan is.
Yeah, get inside.
We spent years working on that. So if they want to come inside, they're going to get some of that too.
Okay, so you have 2 big fights coming up. What can we expect in those 2 big fights?
It's like I had said on my post the other night. This one, going back to my old ways. Like,
how so? What does that mean?
Because like I don't look at every fight that I done been in, and just the pro one, and I'm too comfortable, and I'm fighting like I don't want to lose. That's in my heart, but now I'm letting that go.
Fighting to win, not fighting to not lose.
No, I'm fighting to you're gonna have to beat me. So instead of fighting to win, I'm fighting to not lose.
Yeah,
it's
you
the opposite.
got to box.
Okay.
It's the opposite.
You got to box and push the pace and keep up his work and show them out.
So now I'm back. I'm fighting like my old ways. Like again, you're gonna have to. It's like when I was fighting an amateur. I wasn't fighting to win or lose. I was just fighting until you feel me. I got big. Then I didn't think I was gonna be.
Yeah.
So now I'm fighting. I'm going back to my old ways with no fear or nothing. It's either you feel me, you beat me, but
they're gonna fight you.
Yeah, you're gonna fight me, and it's 2 things. I'm coming there to die. Well, so now I'm adding that to the camp and everything, and doing shrimp conditioning and everything like that. Because I really I don't do shrimp conditioning and stuff like that.
Really?
Yeah, he'll tell you. We argue about that all the
time. There's a rock over here somewhere I could talk to, and I can get better response.
This man,
boy, thick as a head, boy.
Okay, so do you want to just shout us out where they are and the dates of those events again?
It's
where can people find
Key
it?
West.
This one's Key West, June 9th. It's going to be, it's sponsored by the Key West Firefighters Local down there.
Okay.
Louis C. Rock and Aaron Skinner putting it together down there with Roy Cruz and Nick Sityar. This is good because they've had Key West boxing before years ago, and they're finally bringing it back there. So I'm kind of anxious to go back down there and see get the boxing going back down there again. That'll be great.
I love Key West there. I go down there all the time for work. So I might have to make a little trip. Yeah, a little Barry Owen trip and then watch a little boxing. Definitely gotta maybe come out for that for sure.
Pete, is there anything that surprises you? So like we always talk about, okay, with this, you always you know everybody, first of all, and you've been there and done that. So at this point, obviously with new just fighters in general, there's always different obstacles. Does anything surprise you anymore? Like as far as where you go, maybe the venue, the opponent, anything?
No, because I stay ahead of everything. So before he even knows about the fight, I already know the opponent. I've already figured out the opponent. I know the other coach. I know who the venue,
you know everything
where
about
the venue is. I know if we're going someplace, we got to be at altitude. I know we need to pick up our conditioning or whatever. I know body weight, where he needs to be at, because I know where his body is at this time or that time. I know how many donuts he can have tomorrow. Him and Michael Davis Racing Donut Factory.
Yeah, we'll show the Facebook audience that.
Yeah, so I just try to stay on top of everything and be prepared.
Awesome. Well, where can people find you on like Facebook, Instagram?
Facebook. I don't too much do with the Twitter and the Instagram. I'm not a picture person like that.
Gotcha. So Facebook, what's your Facebook?
Facebook, Kenmon Evans.
Cool.
So
let me give a quick shout out to
Lank?
My buddy Lank King.
Yep.
Lank's got
July 21st, Memphis, Tennessee.
Now
FedEx Forum.
This is in the FedEx Forum, the home of the Grizzlies.
Yes, home of the Grizzlies. Beautiful
that's
arena. I've been there.
Lank's been my boy, and him and Deborah King, who's the daughter of Don King.
Okay.
Wow.
Me and Lank have been sticking together, and I'm ride or die, man. People don't screw me over. I'll ride with you right to the end, and me and him have been pretty tight. So he's taken very good care of us. Every fight we fought in Mississippi, we fought in Ocala. Yeah. We've been bounced around here with him, and he's always got my back. So we fought in Orlando for him. So I stick with him, you know what I mean? We work together, and I'll help him out, and he helps me out. So, I just like to do good things, and I'm actually pretty anxious to get him up there and put him in that forum.
Yeah, that's a big place.
That's a big venue, and
that's awesome.
It's going to be co-promoted with Mayweather.
Wow.
Mayweather Promotions will be co-promoting on that show, so it's going to be a big one.
Can we get those shirts? Is that still?
This the old one. I got some. I got something new.
Yeah, he got to stay fresh all the time.
This one, you would have got this at the last fight.
Yep.
Okay. You got this one at the last fight, but
don't sleep on them fights. You got to be there.
Awesome. Cool. Do you have anything else you want to shout out?
That was great. We'll definitely promote. We'll definitely push out Key West for you. Memphis, Tennessee. We'll definitely get the word out.
We got to get on a road trip. We got to go. Locked in road trip.
The Key West.
Well, it was a pleasure having you on,
Thank
sir.
you, man.
You're always welcome.
Awesome.
Pete, you can just sit comfortable.
Yeah.
We'll get Mike Davis on here now.
That's my boy.
Yeah. You now locked in with the best. We ain't rocking with the rest. And when it's game time, we gon' put you to the test. Come the ball, we hitting it, kicking it, though. We dribbling, passing it, though. We running over. It's the ring that we flip you in. So what's the news? You want the scoop? You gotta keep it locked to David Max podcast through your speaker box. What's poppin', my friend? You know the drop in. The only thing left to do is keep it locked in.